This Hall of Fame duo has been relentless in their pursuit of greatness. Their success rate in stakes company has been staggering. And their last trip to the Lone Star State was no different.
More Spirit and Mike Smith drawing clear with the Steve Sexton Mile in wire-to-wire fashion.
Mike Smith and Bob Baffert have returned with Dancing Candy, a speedy colt who was one of the lucky few to compete in the Run for the Roses.
And Dancing Candy back to winning ways. Defeats Accelerator length and a half.
But in their quest to take down the Lone Star Park handicap, they'll have to deal with Texas Chrome.
Texas Chrome, he's all heart, and he wins the Oklahoma Derby by a half length.
And Shotgun Cowboy, a wily veteran who's eager for redemption after last year's runner-up finish. The Grade 3 Lone Star Park handicap. Sunday at Lone Star Park.
And Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert back at it again. Shipped in more Spirit, of course, winning a few weeks back, and of course shipping in for the Grade 3 Lone Star Park handicap this weekend, Memorial Day weekend on Sunday, and employing your Hall of Fame rider Mike Smith aboard Dancing Candy for the Halo Farm Jim and Diane Bashore. I want to welcome in Mr. Byers out there in the Lone Star State. And this sets up as quite an interesting race. Dancing Candy's been offered up 7-5 on the board, but I think the contention runs awfully deep. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, thanks. I hope the same is out there. This is interesting because 3 weeks ago on the Steve Sexton Mile, you had that other Baffert horse in More Spirit who like Dancing Candy coming in off a 105 buyer. I think Dancing Candy's recent races, not quite as spectacular as More Spirits as far as the level of competition, but it does offer a horse like a Texas Chrome, who I think ran a pretty nice race while running second to More Spirit, the opportunity maybe to cut into that margin a little bit here. And I think Texas Chrome's the type of horse that can sit a little bit, maybe sit off the pace just a bit and rally. Dancing Candy, though, we're looking at the San Felipe last year on the run to the Triple Crown. I mean, he's going to be tough to beat on the front end. Shotgun Cowboy's another contender in here that has front-running tendencies, but they've been trying to take him back off the pace. Carouse is just a claiming horse that Steve Asmussen is entering in here. He's an old class horse. And then Neck and Neck is a horse coming in from Sunland Park. It's an interesting field. I think it does offer a good single opportunity in the late pick 4, which has a $25,000 guarantee on Sunday. But, a front runner, it's going to be hot. You never can tell. If he doesn't fire, a horse like Texas Chrome could be in a good position to maybe stalk.
Yeah, I just find this race interesting because of the fact that you have a Southern California-based horse. And I realize that we've got the Gold Cup out here this weekend, and your Hall of Fame trainer has Cupid. Collected defected, and when Collected defected, he probably obviously knew that. I was just a tad surprised that Dancing Candy didn't stay home, but you're looking at the Steve Sexton Mile, and I thought this was a good effort for Texas Chrome, although he was not a threat to More Spirit. But I think when you're comparing More Spirit to, say, for example, Dancing Candy, More Spirit to me is at least 3 lengths, maybe 5 lengths a better horse. So I think the score is a little different here. And the one thing about Dancing Candy, this horse shipped out of the state one time, Jim, one time. And that was the Kentucky Derby. And that horse was beaten 20-some-odd lengths. And, again, it was for a different connection. But you mentioned the heat. I see upset here. I'm going to try and beat Dancing Candy this Sunday.
Well, that's interesting because, horses coming in here, More Spirit faced more early speed in the Steve Sexton Mile than I think Dancing Candy is going to. I think he might have things a little bit more to his liking on the front end. But like you say, More Spirit not as accomplished. Dancing Candy not as accomplished as More Spirit might not be able to put these horses away and outrun them quite as much. So it does make for an interesting race. And, one thing I mentioned the pick 4 earlier, there is a TVG Hit It and Split It promotion coming on for TVG customers. If they play that late pick 4 on Sunday here and they hit it, you can share in a $2,500 bonus with others that might hit it. You can opt in at tvg.com. So pick 4 has been an interesting bet, and there we see the Hit It and Split It late pick 4 of Lone Star being one of those tracks coming up on Sunday. So that's going to be fun to watch as well. To me, it's kind of an interesting test Do you think that these contenders in this Lone Star Park handicap are good enough to use them and not single Dancing Candy? I thought More Spirit 3 weeks ago was a clear-cut single. I'm leaning that way toward Dancing Candy, but like you say, you make a pretty good argument that he might not be an all-out single.
Well, I definitely think and that's the wonderful thing about the Hit It and Split It. I want to thank our people here at TVG and, of course, Lone Star for making that happen. And my advice for the fan out there, you've got a $25,000 guaranteed pick four. You've got the Hit It and Split It. I'm going against the grain. I'm going against Hall of Fame connections. Your trainer, Bob Baffert, wins 1 out of 3 races this year at 31%. That's going to do it for me. Jim, thank you for your time, and it's precious, as we know. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
$200,000 Lone Star Park Handicap, Grade 3 this Sunday, and part of that Hit It and Split It promotion, and part of that $25,000 guaranteed pick 4 at Lone Star. Don't miss out.